Hey there. My friend and mentor shared a strategy with me that is so outstanding. It's called holding neutral. I've been using it. She shared it with me recently, and I've been using it, and it has worked tremendously for me. And because it's so great, I thought I'd share it with you as well. And I'm going to do that in just one moment. Hi there, and welcome to Stress Talk Live. This is the place where we help women over 40 to live healthier lives through strategic stress management, solution focused self care, and gratitude. I am so happy to be with you. I know I haven't been around the last couple of weeks, I've been very busy. Yesterday, as a matter of fact, I led a breakout session at the Via Connects conference. That is a conference that is held in my area for women. And it's an empowerment conference, a conference that helps women to gain more confidence in their lives and in what they're doing. And I was really excited to be invited to be a speaker. And I was also excited to be chosen. The 45-minute session that I led was on intentions and why our intentions fail. You know, we set intentions during the day, but then we forget them. But my session helped the women who attended to develop a strategy using my 5-step framework to set intentions that stick. So I was really happy to be there, really happy to be a part of the conference. Also, I've been interviewing and talking to women who want to be on my podcast. I'm really, again, so my first guest, well, she's not my first guest, but my first guest this year is Laura Bratton, and she will appear on our broadcast when, let's see, in several weeks, March 29th. That's when her episode is going to air. And I think you will really enjoy listening to her and hearing our conversation. So today we're talking about, today we are talking about the 3 steps that wise women take to lower stress and boost happiness every day. Now, this came out of a conversation that I had with my mentor, and one of my friends. She's also a friend. And we were talking about how we can maintain without the fluctuating emotions, the constant thoughts going around in our heads. And one of the things that she shared with me was the strategy to hold neutral. And I've been practicing that strategy and I love it because it has worked so well for me. I'm not having a lot of fluctuations in terms of my emotions, and I'm also not ruminating on things that have happened during the day. So I wanted to share with you what I'm sorry, what, I just lost my train of thought. I wanted to share with you what holding neutral is. And I also wanted to give you several strategies for each of the techniques that I'm going to share with you, because I'm going to share with you 3 techniques and also share with you, I'm sorry, let me go back. I'm going to share with you 3 parts, the 3 steps, and I'm also going to share with you the 3 techniques that go with those 3 steps. So you're going to have 9 techniques that you can use to hold neutral. So let's talk about it. And again, if you have any questions, comments, just drop them in the comment section, and we're going to get through this. Um, we're going to get through this right now. Okay, the first step is to actually quiet the noise in your head. Because what happens is that when we are under a lot of stress or when we are feeling pressured, we can amplify that stress by virtue of our thoughts and how we're thinking, what we are actually telling ourselves repeatedly. If you've been a viewer of this podcast or a listener, you know that I always say that we believe whatever it is we tell ourselves repeatedly. And that is so very true. We believe what we're telling ourselves. So the first step is that we need to quiet the noise in our heads. Just quiet the noise in our heads, right? Just quiet those thoughts that are going in our head, that are repeated over and over, that are negative in scope and that feed the stress levels that we're having. How can you do that? Because when we think about it, when we're holding neutral, it starts up here. It really does. It starts with what we are telling ourselves repeatedly, what we are telling ourselves on a day-to-day basis. So the first strategy that I want to share with you, I'm calling it the pause and name it strategy. Pause and name it, because we're trying to quiet the noise in our head, those repetitive thoughts. When we are pausing and naming it, the time that we start feeling that stress, we basically want to say that I am noticing, right? You want to tell yourself, I notice I'm telling myself that. I'm noticing that I'm telling myself that this is not good. I'm noticing that I'm telling myself I'm going to fail. I'm noticing that I'm telling myself that I'm going to stumble over my words. I'm noticing that I'm telling myself that the person I'm talking to is going to put me down. Begin to notice the thoughts that you're telling yourself repeatedly. Because when you start to notice that, you're actually creating space for yourself so that you lower the stress levels and you're able to think more clearly. So instead of telling yourself repeatedly, this is too much, I'm going to fail, reframe it. You can say to yourself, I notice I'm telling myself that this is too much, right? I'm noticing that I'm telling myself this. Again, it gives you space to lower the stress level and to think. So the pause and name it strategy helps us to quiet the noise in our head. The second strategy is to do a thought audit. Yes, a thought audit. Just ask yourself 3 questions. First question, is this thought true right now? Is what I'm thinking true right now? The second question is this thought helping me or hurting me? And the third question is, what would I say to my best friend if she was having these thoughts? These questions interrupt those negative thoughts that you're feeding yourself in that mental loop, because we can only think about one thing at a time. We can really only think one thing at a time. So when we are asking ourselves these questions, is this thought true right now? Is this thought helping me or hurting me? Or what would I say to my best friend if she was having these thoughts? That's going to interrupt that loop of negativity that we're thinking. So I've shared with you the pause it and name it technique. I've shared with you the thought audit. And now I'm going to share with you the neutral narrative swap. So when I'm talking about holding neutral, I'm not saying that we have to bathe ourselves in positivity, especially if we're not feeling that. If we don't have to lie to ourselves, right? But what it means is that instead of choosing to tell ourselves a negative story, we can tell ourselves a neutral one. Think about um, something negative that you might tell yourself, like, everything always goes wrong for me. I can't do anything right. A more neutral thought is, this is hard right now, and I've navigated hard things before. This may be difficult right now, but I've gotten through difficulties before. It's more neutral. Think about your car. When we have our car in the drive position, the engine is running harder, right? The engine is running harder, and when we press on the gas, it really revs up. But when it is in neutral, the gears are disengaged and the car can't move. The engine is still running, but it is not running at the RPMs that it would be running if it was in drive or if it was in park, because the gears are disengaged. What we want to do is disengage the gears. Once we disengage the gears with a neutral narrative, then that brings our stress levels down. So, I've been talking about how we can quiet the noise in our heads, and I've shared with you three strategies. The first is the pause and name it strategy, the second is the thought audit, and then the third is the neutral narrative swap. So let's continue. Let's go on with how to recognize and release our emotions. And this, I'm calling it feel it, free it, but don't feed it. Feel it, free it, but don't feed it. So when I'm talking about feeling it, freeing it, but not feeding it, I'm actually talking about how we suppress our emotions. We suppress them. A lot of times we don't want to feel negative emotions or emotions that make us sad. So we push them down. We literally push them down so we don't feel it. The difficulty about that is that we may think we're not feeling it, but it increases the stress response. Because our mind recognizes that we're feeling sad, these negative emotions, and because of that, the stress response has kicked in. And when the stress response kicks in, we're in fight or flight mode. And when we're in fight or flight mode, our brain is pumping adrenaline and cortisol into our blood system, into our bloodstream, and it keeps us revved up. It keeps us in that fight or flight mode. So, what we want to do, instead of suppressing those emotions, we want to name them, but we don't want to feed them with the negative thoughts that we might have about the situation. Okay? Because feeding them with the negative thoughts is basically adding fuel to the fire. So, let me share three strategies that will help you to feel it, free it, and not feed it. First, taking a witness stance. So just step outside of yourself mentally, okay? And observe the emotion. Um, like you're a friend, like you're a friend, a compassionate friend. And when you observe your emotion, if you're observing like a friend, you are allowing yourself to extend compassion to that friend. So you want to extend compassion to yourself. This is how you would do that. I see that I'm feeling scared right now. That makes sense. What do I need? You would say that to your friend. I see that you're feeling scared right now. That makes sense. What do you need? You want to turn that on yourself and say it to yourself. This is basically rooted in compassion. And you know that compassion is a major component in mindfulness. So you're going to take a witness stance. You may have fear, you may experience fearfulness, but you are not fear. The second strategy to recognize and release your emotions or to feel it, free it, and not feed it is the 60-second emotion check in. So, a lot of times we're moving so quickly, we don't spend time checking in with ourselves. We just don't. We don't check in. And because we don't check in, we feel sometimes emotions that we haven't acknowledged. Or when, because we've not acknowledged those emotions, when something else happens that amplifies those emotions, we feel it. So, what you want to do is maybe every hour, just pause and do a quick body scan. Notice where you're holding tension. Is it in your jaw? Is it in your shoulders, in your upper back? Is it in your chest area? Do you feel a pressure in your chest area? Just notice. And then when you notice, just what word would describe what you're experiencing? And you want to avoid being very general by saying, I'm stressed. What exactly are you experiencing? Are you experiencing fear? Are you experiencing grief? Are you experiencing anger? Or are you experiencing disappointment? Or are you experiencing all of the above? Or are you experiencing an emotion that you don't have the word or words to describe? But name it. That's important that we name it. Researchers have found that when we express verbally the emotion that we're experiencing, it helps to relieve it. It really does. So, I've talked about taking a witness stance. I've talked about the 60-second emotion check in. Now, I want to talk about acknowledging without amplifying. Acknowledge without amplifying. Once you are able to express, say, the exact emotion that you're experiencing, acknowledge it. I'm frustrated right now. And that's valid. So you want to name it, acknowledge it, and then validate the feeling. I'm frustrated. I'm angry right now. And that's valid. I am upset. I am disappointed right now. And that is valid. But what you want to stay away from is amplifying, feeding that emotion. Because when we feed the emotion, that's when it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And we stay in that fight or flight mode. So, how do you do that? How do you prevent amplifying it? First, Resist the urge to vent repeatedly. You know how we do. We find a compassionate or a listening ear, a listening ear, and we want to tell them everything that happened. Not only do we want to tell them everything that happened, we add subjective information to it. And we talk about how the person looked. We talked about how we looked. We talked about how we responded. We talk about everything, the thoughts that were going through our head at that time. Resist that urge to vent repeatedly. Also, resist the urge to replay it in your mind. We don't gain anything by replaying the scenario repeatedly. Now, you may want to think about it to say, hey, maybe there was something different I could do, or maybe I misunderstood, but there's no reason to repeat it constantly, which is, again, something that we do. We take it home with us, don't we? The other thing is, and I alluded to this a few moments ago, is to recruit others by sharing it with them and getting them all riled up. This is what adds fuel to the fire. So I've just shared with you our second step, which is feel it, free it, don't feed it. And I shared 3 strategies: the witness stance, the 60-second emotion check in, and acknowledge, don't amplify. So I really hope that you are getting a lot out of this podcast. We're talking about 3 steps wise women take to lower stress and boost happiness every day. And I'm going to go into the third step. Now, I'm sharing this because, as I've said, it has really helped me. My friend and mentor shared holding neutral with me, and it has really helped me to let go of things that don't serve me, negative thoughts, negative emotions that don't serve me. It's also helped me to be able to think clearly. So let's talk about the third. And this is really a question. What does your body, face, and interactions say? We're going to talk about what your body, face, and interactions are saying when you're in the moment. So, stress is a physical reaction to an unspecified stimulus. And because it is a physical reaction, we feel it in our bodies. I've talked about what happens in our bodies. It's an instant change that occurs in our bodies that prepare us to fight, flight, or flee. Fight or flee. There it is. It's the fight or flight mechanism. Because it's physical, we often show it in our faces. If you are like me, my face tells a lot. It tells how I am feeling, it tells when I'm thinking, it tells the tone of my thoughts. My face is very expressive, and I've tried very hard not to be as expressive. I'm still a work in progress. Still a work in progress. But yay to those of you out there who can relate. I'm sure there are many of you who can relate. Okay, so when we're holding neutral, we're being very intentional about the signals that we're sending to others and the signals that we're sending to ourselves. So, holding neutral, we want to be intentional. The first strategy I want to share with you is the facial reset. And this is practicing your neutral face. So, um, stress actually shows up on our face when we're not aware of it. That's why I think people can notice changes in my face when I'm like, mm, mm. Um, our brow gets furrowed, our jaw clenches, our lips get very tight. Those are some of the facial reactions. But one of the things that we can do is practice having a neutral face. We can just soften the jaw. Sometimes you can soften the jaw by just opening your mouth slightly. That softens the jaw. Also, softening the muscles around your eyes and letting your lips part slightly. When your facial expression, because your facial expression feeds data to your brain, a softer, the softer your face is, the more calmer you're going to be inside. So when we have a face that's pensive looking, we are on edge because our brain interprets that. But when our face is softened, we're calmer. Think about, and one thing that you might try to help you to do this is think about how you are when you're holding a baby. We're not frowning when we hold a baby. We're cooing and we have a very soft face. Usually we're smiling and our eyes are wider and there's a softness to our look. So one of the ways you can practice the neutral face is to think about and imagine yourself holding a baby. Imagine, just imagine holding a baby or a puppy, a puppy even. That will help you. The second strategy is 5 before you speak. So, if you've ever been in situations where you're overwhelmed or you're responding or reacting to something that you're feeling extremely emotional about, um, it is a very good practice to take 5. Take 5 minutes, take 5 slow breaths, just take 5. Why? Because when we are on edge, when we are reacting out of our emotions, we are not thinking, we're in fight or flight. And because of that, we have a greater chance of sending an email that we don't want to send, saying something with a sharp tone that we shouldn't say, or just withdrawing ourselves when somebody really needs us. So take 5 minutes, or just do 5 slow, long breaths. That will allow us to, again, come out of fight or flight and back here where we can think. Then we can ask ourselves a question. Am I responding from my values or am I responding from my pain right now? When we are reacting without thinking, we're responding from our pain. We are responding out of fear. We want to respond out of our values. The third strategy that I will share with you about what your body, face, and interactions are saying is how you treat yourself under stress. I talked about having compassion. We need to have compassion for ourselves, self compassion. What do you do? How do you treat yourself when you're overwhelmed? When we are holding neutral, we stop criticizing ourselves and engaging in self critical actions like skipping meals, isolating ourselves from people who care about us, or doom scrolling, getting our phones and just doom scrolling. What we want to do instead, to hold neutral and to treat ourselves with compassion, is to breathe, because breathing is life. Place our hands over our heart and just breathe. Take long, slow breaths. Or step outside for a few minutes. Just step outside, get a lot of good fresh air. And then ask yourself, what do I need right now? Ask, what do I need right now? All of this is showing yourself compassion, treating yourself like someone who is worth caring for when they're having a stressful moment. We want to do that more and more instead of treating ourselves like we're our own worst enemies. Make sense? Makes sense. So that's it. Holding neutral. I've shared with you 3 pillars to manage your thoughts by pausing, as well as choosing the neutral narrative. Honor your emotions by witnessing and releasing without amplifying them, and adjusting your actions, meaning your face, your words, and more importantly, how you treat yourself. And this week, I want to challenge you like I've had to challenge myself. The next time you feel yourself feeling extremely stressed, I want you to catch it and I want you to say to yourself, I'm going to hold neutral. That decision is going to change everything. It's going to change how you follow up. Also, if this episode spoke to you, I want you to share it with someone. Share it with the woman or the man in your life. Then drop me a comment or DM me, either one, because I want to know which pillar is the one you're going to practice first. So, until next time, remember this, that peace is not a luxury, it's a strategy. And you must take care of yourself as well as you take care of other people. Well, that's all for now. You've just been with me on Stress Talk with Marcyline. I look forward to being with you next time. For now, take good care.